All right, thank you, DJ Nick. Welcome everyone to this Bunker Labs Town Hall, military veteran to agriculture entrepreneur. This topic actually is in high demand. We have so many entrepreneurs that are military connected that are going into farming or interested in agriculture. And we are here with two guests that I'm going to let Mike introduce that are doing it. My name is Liz Marion. I'm your director of events at Bunker Labs. And I want to welcome all of you to this town hall that is brought to you by MetLife. And I also want to recognize some people that we're seeing in the audience today from our Newman's Own Foundation Veterans Coalition cohort that Bunker Labs is part of. I see Rodale Institute and Veteran Farmers Coalition. So welcome to all of you. Veterans Healing Farm, good to see all of you here. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to, as Nick likes to call him, the champ, Mike Stedman, who's our facilitator today.
Thanks, Liz. Good afternoon, everyone. Full transparency, you're amongst family here. So I know people get zoomed out and it can be exhausting, but we like to have fun here at Bunker Labs, and we want to make this a great experience for you all. So I hope you enjoy it. Without further ado, I have the honor of introducing our guest today. First, we have Zafreen Hanson, an Air Force veteran and founder of Hampton Farms and a recent winner of WeWork's 10K Black Entrepreneur Grant. We also have Derek Jackson, who is a recently transitioned Army veteran and founder of Grass Graze, a farm on a mission to produce protein with the promise of integrity raised with ethical practices and regenerative farming. Welcome, Zafreen and Derek. It's such a pleasure to have you all. I guess I'll go ahead and let you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and let you get started. How about you introduce yourself formally to our audience? Because I know I just kind of hit the wave tops, but let's let them know who you are. Zafreen, you can go first.
We're going ladies first. Thank you, fellas.
There you go.
We're amongst family. Hi, I'm Zafreen Hanson, founder of Hampton Farms. We are a quarter-acre urban farm. Our focus is on value-added products and helping farmers make more money with the products they sell with less lift. And so I am an Air Force veteran. I was a photojournalist for 8 years. I was mill to mill, and now we're vet to vet. We have 3 children, twin 10-year-olds and a 12-year-old son. We homeschool pre-COVID, so our kids are part of our business. And we wrap all farming into all of that. Let's see, is there anything else? No, I'm excited to talk about farming and excited to hear about Grass Graze. I follow you guys anyway, so Paige doesn't know, but we're best friends. So just tell her. Just tell her we're best friends. So I'm super excited today.
Nice.
Awesome. How about you, Derek?
Hey, so I'm Derek Jackson Jr. My mom would like for me to say Junior. I am the founder and CEO of, or co-founder and CEO of Grass Graze LLC, which is a grass-based livestock production farm. We call ourselves a production farm is because we consider ourselves not just a farm, but a business. And we'll go into depth the differences and the requirements. But yeah, we specialize in clean protein. So we do a non-GMO grass-fed based production. So our cows eat grass, and our heritage pigs live in the forest and eat out of the forest. And our pasture poultry, they consume a non-GMO supplement feed while living on grass as well. I am a 14-year Army vet. As of Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, it's not official yet. This upcoming Saturday, it'll be 14 years, a month, and like 15 days or something. I know that because I got my DD-214 review yesterday. So this is a big deal. I'm married to Paige Jackson, going on 13 years now. We have 5 kids, 2 boys and 3 girls. And we farm on a 73-acre, we farm on a 73-acre farm outside of North Durham, and we live on a 7-acre homestead, which is in Bahama. It's about 15 minutes away from our larger farm. I'm excited to discuss agriculture and just get to know a lot about the other farmers farming up north, because I have no idea what goes on up there.
Awesome. All right. And for our listeners out there, as we're going, be sure to submit questions for these two so we can help you all get the feedback you're looking for. So Zafreen, I'm going to start with you. How about you let our listeners know how you got into farming?
I was always interested in farming, but my family and I moved here about 4 years ago, and there is of course. Sorry about that. I thought that was off. So we moved here to Denver 4 years ago. There's an amazing program called Veterans to Farmers, and they have a partnership with Denver Botanic Gardens. And so I went through the program and just fell in love with farming and the people there and how I felt and how I could introduce it to my kids and just how it changed me. Always an entrepreneur. But I definitely needed to take some time and get away from our city life, and being in Denver allowed me to do that. And so while I was at the gardens, I would ask them all the time, what did they do with the botanicals, the lavender, the herbs? And because they're a garden, it's mostly for people just to come and enjoy it. And then they don't really think about what they do after it because that's not its function. And so we have a lovely collaboration where I come and harvest it and turn it into value-added products. And they grow it, and I continue to learn and sometimes kill things at the gardens, but I am learning. And so that's how I got into it. It made me feel better. I was already homeschooling my kids, and I needed something to do with them. And we happened, it was fortuitous that we bought a property that had a huge backyard and moved into a neighborhood that supported this life I imagined. I imagine farming how Derek and Paige are doing it, but I still am a city girl at heart, so I don't think I'm quite ready. So it gave me the opportunity to dip my toe in while continuing to connect with other veterans in a healing space, like food, mental health, entrepreneurship, parenting, education. So it just tied everything that I'm passionate about together.
Awesome. And you didn't start this until 2017, so that program. So you didn't really have a lot of experience farming prior to that.
I had zero experience. And like I said, this is family. So my first group it was all veterans. I had 2 Army Rangers, 2 Marines, and I think everyone else was Army or Navy. And so it was comical because I'm a photographer. I was not used to having to dig stuff and move it around. And so, the Army and Marines took care of me and, made sure the Air Force didn't get lost out there. But no, I had not done it before. But, like I said, my veteran community, and then the community that I was introduced to in Denver, they're a huge farm community. So there's a lot of flower growers, food, more value-added products. And just for clarification, value-added products is taking something you would grow on the farm and making it into, for me, lavender, we turned it into lotion or bath salts. And so that has been my focus, and that's why I've received like a lot of support, because farmers are already businesses, but we don't have a lot of time to do the business part. So, there's a lot of collaboration around that.
Awesome. What about you, Derek? How'd you get into farming?
So I got into farming by so I've been in Orem about 12 years, and I was looking for a change. I knew I was going to get out because I was ready to start a business and do something on my own. But during that time, I had some medical issues. And so I'm an Army Civil Affairs. I work in Army Civil Affairs, and it's a very, very high demanding workspace. So physical fitness and traveling a lot, and like it's very, very high tempo. So just to give you an insight on it, so out of 365 days, 1 year I was gone for 250 days. So you spend a lot of time on the road, but you're still required to be a soldier. So anyway, I had a nutritionist and a trainer, and I mean, physical fitness was just a big deal. So I was doing this stuff and trying to be healthy, and I was still getting sick, and it didn't make sense. And my wife told me that I should look into something because she think that it may be something that I'm eating. And sure enough, I cut out dairy. And when I cut out dairy, I stopped having the issues. But that doesn't work for me because I like to eat what I eat. So I want to eat as much as I can. That's why I work out so hard. So I can supplement it by working out hard. So giving up my ice cream, and I eat ice cream every single night. It's a thing. I don't know why, but I do. I like it. And I had to give it up, and I wasn't willing to, and it didn't make sense. So after doing a little bit of research, comes to find out it was the dairy. The whole milk that I was eating or consuming from the stores was causing me to be congested, and it causes some issues with my stomach. So I got a little irritated, and I knew I couldn't raise any cows. So I was like, what can I do living in a suburban neighborhood and still being active duty? Like, what can I do? And I stumbled upon some farmers that were doing some stuff, Joe Sodson, Justin Rhodes, and some of those guys, because they're like homesteaders. And it's like, well, they would know, right? So I started with 25 chickens in my front yard of my house. A lot of the people that live in my subdivision, they thought that it was a greenhouse. It was a chicken tractor. And a chicken tractor is just it's a mobile shelter that you can move the animals around pasture to pasture. Since we are I won't jump ahead. So I started researching the regenerative ag industry and just kind of what that looks like, and just because it kind of spoke into some of the values that I was used to, integrity and duty and honor, like those things. It's like, okay, responsibility. Like I'm thinking about these things. I'm like, well, after we started raising the chickens, I fell in love with it. My wife was like, and I'm speeding this up because this is my wife would tell you this long drawn out story. It's amazing now. But we started doing it, and I fell in love with, the raising the animals or raising the chickens. And I had 25 in a shelter in my front yard. A couple of friends, after we processed them, we processed on farm in the driveway at our house. We don't have a fence. This is like an open neighborhood. So nobody saw it and nobody called the police. So I guess that's a good sign. Did the processing. A lot of our friends started asking about the chicken. And a lot of people were like, hey, this is clean chicken. Like, we want it. Like, we want more. And my wife was like, maybe you should look into what it would look like for us to, explore raising more chickens. Jump ahead 4 months. We signed a lease on a 70-acre property, just like off the back. I was like, hey, we're gonna do this. We need some land, and so that kind of launched us into farming. And that's kind of where we are now. I mean, there's a lot of details in there, but for the sake of the interview, I'll keep it short.
That's great. And so it's a good segue into our next question is, let's talk about business models. And we'll start with you, Zafreen. So obviously you guys are agricultural entrepreneurs. You have to generate income for yourselves and your family. Can you let us know your business model and how you set it up the way it is and what that looks like for our listeners?
Well, Mike, I have not put back on the armor since we talked on your podcast, so I'll be very honest.
We take off the armor, y'all. We like to be transparent in these because we all don't have it figured out. So that's a myth, and so this is a great time to be vulnerable.
No, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and our initial plan was to 2021. Start building in our backyard for farm to preservation products. And 2020 was supposed to be me being at Denver Botanic Gardens Chatfield Farm property. And when COVID happened, we weren't sure if I was going to be able to be there the whole summer. So my husband, wanting to save his wife's sanity, built a bunch of raised beds this summer, and we threw seeds in there. And then I also was at the gardens. So I started running two companies at the same time. And mostly this year, it ended up being a pilot of me really understanding and having to find the value of collaboration and partnership. Because I think especially being a veteran, or at least my experience was, we get trained, and when you're done with training, you have all the answers. Even though that's not true, that's what they hype us to believe. And so that is what I was experiencing this is now me looking back at the summer, you know, that's what happened, that, you know, I should have slowed down and been able to really focus on the farm preservation part, and not trying to do every single part of farming, farm stands, farmers markets, pop-ups. So my model now is to have streamlined to preservation and value-added products, and then my collaboration with other farmers. Because I'll be honest, I could not do that. And so my business model is collaboration and value-added products. That is for a small farm like ours. And let me add another value-added product once things open up is education and agritourism, because you're already doing it. So having people come to your farm or have experiences on your farm. But that is my model, is more of giving people experiences and products instead of just fresh produce, because I already know a lot of farmers who have great networks who are doing that. And like, that is their passion. My passion is grabbing the lavender and making a product so that the farm continues to make money, even when it seems like it can't, or going to a farm stand at the end, and instead of a farmer having to take those products back home, I buy it wholesale and I'm going to make a product with it. So that farmer didn't lose any money. They didn't have to take anything back. And now that farmer and I have a great relationship of promoting each other in all the different ways we can. So that is more my model. I had to pivot because my model was all about lavender and high-end events prior to COVID. And that didn't seem right for me. And I'll throw it back to Derek. There's someone I follow, Leah Penniman on Soulfire Farm. And like, I saw them in an article together, and I was like, I need to get my focuses aligned to getting, you know, to the communities that I support. So yes, all that to say, we had a pivot and a refresh. And so our focus is value-added products.
And before I pass over to Derek, though, you also were able to get some income for like a sustainability study, correct?
I got support. So Denver Botanic Gardens donates their festival lavender to me for value-added products, for classes. We were able to do some virtual therapeutic Thursdays with the gardens, and just show people the lavender fields and talk about that. So yes, that's a huge thing. Depending upon how you market a half an acre of lavender, you can make a nice profit on that. And so I appreciate that. In case I was not clear, thank you, Denver Botanic Gardens, for all your support and all of the farm organizations that you have connected me with. So thank you.
Awesome. What about you, Derek? Talk to us about your business model.
Hey, this is very similar because we launched prior to, this was pre-COVID. We launched in October, and we started seeing a shift in February. So originally our original focus was B2C. We knew right away that as farmers, we wanted complete transparency for our customers. And that's because that's not something that we're currently getting as eaters in the United States. A lot of times people think that the food that they pick up from the grocery store, I don't know, or maybe it was raised in the grocery store, behind the grocery store or somewhere, but I mean, that's just not true. So our original setup was, our focus was going to be B2C. And we wanted to maintain that relationship with our customers. We wanted to raise the livestock on farm and then control the entire process. So do all the in-house marketing, the transportation, as well as kind of modernizing the whole farmer's market. Before we went into it, I told my wife, I was like, hey, I really think that the farmer's market the whole farmer's market concept, it doesn't need to go away. We just need to give it a facelift, and that would be shifting to an online presence. So we knew right away in October that that's where we were going. When we got into it, we knew that we wanted to do some type of e-commerce because the whole going to the farmer's market on Saturdays and, maybe on a Wednesday, it just wasn't possible. I was traveling throughout the week, and on Saturdays were competitive swim, soccer, and some other stuff, and then trying to cut grass and stuff. So it wasn't possible. It was hard for us to get to the get to the farmer's market as an eater or consumer. But so when we originally launched, I knew that I needed to make money because in 6 months I would be transitioning from the military. My wife had a business prior to it, but we wanted to continue our kind of our standard of living. So the plan was, hey, as soon as we start, we're not hobby farming. We need to make a profit. So right away it was I made sure that the numbers, we call them enterprises within farming. So there was going to be a pasture poultry enterprise, forestry or heritage pig, pasture raised pigs enterprise, and then a layer enterprise. All three of those were going to generate a profit. So, and that would put us where we needed to be financially to continue with my salary. I knew exactly how many I needed to raise. I needed to raise 1,200 chickens, 50 pigs, and we were going to raise 150 layers, which would help us to maintain our salary as well as to be able to pay our overhead. But when the COVID situation happened, it kind of we started applying for farmers market positions, and we got a few right away, but we knew that wasn't going to be enough for us we would need to make at least like a couple grand every week in order to maintain that whole farmers market appearance. And we knew that it wasn't possible. But originally, I was actually going through the Vet to CEO course. I'm not sure who runs that, but if they're watching, like, that was an amazing course. Vet to CEO. If you are a veteran and you're considering starting a business, go through it when you do your ACAP, or I actually did it through the local university here. And as Vet to CEO, I did the program. I was already tied in with Bunker Lab, so I was hearing this stuff about e-commerce. And then one of the things that I learned at the Vet to CEO was, hey, maybe buying another existing business would help you jumpstart kind of what you're already doing. So I got an email about an opportunity to buy out another farm. And with that, I would buy that customer base. So we did some negotiations, and 2 months in, we purchased another existing 7-year farm here, which acquired 3 additional farmers market appearances for us, and then some livestock, and it jump-started us ahead. So we purchased another business, and then COVID hit, and then it was just, we were just trying to survive. Yeah, and then we hit the whole, you probably watched it on the news about, it's not just big ag, it's also small ag. We were supporting 3 farmers markets. We were doing deliveries, and this is one-man show, and I'm still in the military. 3 farmers market online. We were doing deliveries and drop-offs, and we were trying to get into delivery. So right now, after COVID, like post COVID, now we figured out, okay, we got a little time to breathe. It was an amazing season. Like, thank you, COVID. It was a ride. But now our focus is going to be more B2B, and then our B2C is going to look a little different. We're going completely online. So if some of my customers are watching it, we'll talk more about it. But we're doing more B2B, and then the B2C would be it'll be all e-commerce, just because trying to get to the farmers markets and trying to like maintain that appearance, it's on and off, is just not very sustainable from a business standpoint. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for both the transparency. I know COVID hasn't been easy for any, small business owners out there. So what I want to ask you now is, for our viewers that are watching, what tools and resources helped you develop your agricultural business models? For an outsider like me, if I'm looking at pursuing agricultural entrepreneurship, and you brought up terms I've never even heard of. Traditional business, we just call them verticals. Hey, we approach these different verticals, but you have a name in agriculture. So needs to say, when you're putting together these business models, how are you able to do it, and what do you recommend for our listeners?
Ladies first.
You're on mute, Zafreen.
There we go. Sorry about that. Find an organization, and of course, I'm going to lean towards veteran organizations that can connect you with that, because Veterans to Farmers connected me to Denver Botanic Gardens, which connected me to CSU Extension. Many colleges have extension branches. I'm not sure if I'm calling that the proper term, but it's focused on agriculture. Those are the resources. I mean, I read a lot. I love that the Jacksons bought a farm, because I didn't even know about that until I read the book Farming While Black by Leah Penniman, when she talks about the different ways that we can acquire farmland. And so, you know, I'm seriously research, read. There's a lot of information out there, but decide what you want to do. I know I love lavender. I know that I'm focused on medicinal herbs. And so that is what I should focus on for my farming and how I make my products, and reach out to farmers. Veterans Healing Farm. I'm sorry, I think I'm mixing them up, but I know you guys are here. They have a herbalism program that they help veterans, and so I've reached out to them to get more information. So I'm big on collaborations and partnerships, and I think that just makes sense for us as veterans. We have to work with each other when we're active duty, and that it serves you well. So those were my resources, and then Denver's actual farm ecosystem. There are so many different collectives, and they all have different passions. And so that's who I would reach out to, your local farm community.
Awesome. Derek, what about you?
Yeah, so just to name some off the top of my head, I want to say thank you and to the Veteran Coalition, the Veteran Farmers Coalition. That is an amazing organization. I Googled veteran farmers. If you are, obviously you're a vet if you're on here, but if you're a vet and you're looking to get into farming, you really need to connect with them. They were all the way in Texas, and I was like, man, I think I want to go to Texas, because I was originally planning on going back to the farm, but I didn't know that they were up, and they had a lot of good resources. They actually helped us expand on our pasture poultry operation. It was actually a life-saving. It was a blessing for our farm as well as our business, because when COVID struck, we were raising, at the time, our plan was to raise 1,200 birds. It was only batches of 250, right? We're only gonna do 5 of them. But when COVID hit, we sold out within a couple of weeks. So it's like, hey, I need more resources, but I don't have the funds to do that. I reached out to, I had already applied for a grant with Veteran Farms Coalition, and I got the grant. So, and that was a $5,000 grant that paid for all of my chicken tractors. It's a great organization. One of the other things that this organization does is they actually have the local chapter that's here. I was able to link up with other farmers that were veterans. I didn't even know that there were so many in my area, but these were people that have been doing it for years, great mentors, people that are already doing it, that are willing to teach you. So you're not trying to trying to figure out, you're not doing the whole, let me size you up type, I don't know if I can trust. It's they're all veterans, and some of them are from the same community. So a lot of the group guys we're all here together. Another one is the local county extension office. I mean, they're great for, I actually rent most of them, and they have them in most of the counties. I'm not sure, depending on the state that you're in, just search a county extension office in your area. And they have a lot of resources as well. They'll do a soil test. You can get free soil tests. I rent a mobile processing unit, which costs $5,000. I rent it for $40 every time I use it, and I'm able to process all of my chickens on farm. So these are the type of resources that they have, and they know about all of the grants in the area, and they also help with grant writing. So if you're one of those that are well, You know, I don't really know how to, hey, they are there to assist you with like grant writing. And another one is Acadia, Acadia Farms. Acadia Farms is in Virginia. And if you are still in or you're out and you're looking for an internship, a paid internship, or maybe you want to do the whole the active duty, like I did the whole veteran or the transition. I think it's called it's like an internship while you're still on active duty. So anyway, they have this program, this amazing opportunity. You go to Acadia and they teach you everything there is to know about farming. So if you were going to go and get a crash course, like a master's on agriculture, on planting, harvesting, all of it, they have these year-long programs. Some of them, I mean, they have them, they're like reserve programs. So you can go once a week or once a month on a weekend. For like 12 months. And you're like, I wouldn't have time for that. They also have another program where it's 2 years long or like 6 months or whatever. And you go there full time. You move your family, if you got family or whatever, you move there and you farm. They pay you to be there. And I didn't get to do it because I had too much going on. But I was able to get all the resources. Like, I mean, literally everything when it comes to like calculating. I don't do crops or anything yet. But after reading through the materials and resources that they gave me, I know how much it would cost me to raise, to raise whatever crop it was that I was going to do. It tells you, the amount of seeds you need. It walks you through everything. And that's Acadia Farms in Virginia or Maryland. And this program is tailored specifically for veterans. And I mean, it's just an amazing opportunity. And the other thing about it is when it comes to like the business aspect of it, they help you launch when you're done. So you come there with a goal and they help you, make it reality. So here's your business plan. And when you're done, we're giving you land or we're pointing you in a direction to get you set up. So when you leave, you already have that enterprise as in a source of income.
Man, that's great knowledge. Derek, we got to get you to do a guest blog post to talk about this stuff. Use Zafreen too, because a lot of our listeners out there, there's no point in us reinventing the wheel here. And for me, again, on the outside looking in, I'm in awe of both of you talking about this space I have no idea about, and I see y'all both giving each other the head nods. Y'all taking notes. Y'all like, yep, I know them too. So this is what this is about, this connection and letting people know you have this within the veteran space. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and transition to some Q&A because we're getting some questions coming in from our audience. Zafreen, we're going to start with you. Jeff Kendall wants to know, are you using aeroponic gardening systems to support your Hampton Farm business in an urban environment?
I am not yet. We did all in ground. We did beds and, like I said, harvested from Chatfield's property. So not yet.
Got it. Derek, well, just for both of you, actually, have either of you dealt with any zoning issues? An anonymous attendee says they're just getting started out and that they're finding many of their properties are zoned residential, even though they have acreage and don't allow any agricultural business.
That can be a problem. We are in an urban area. It was very important when we bought our home that my husband was like, I want nothing. I want no covenants. I want none of that. So that was something we looked for, even though we knew we were still living in an urban environment, and we don't have that. There are still things we have to adhere to, and I just get online and research it, and then I ask the questions. And this is where your local community comes in hand, because I'm in Denver. There's also Lakewood that's very close to Denver. And my friends that are farmers in Lakewood get to farm differently than I get to in Denver. So those are things you do need to consider even before you buy your property.
Derek?
Yeah. So the first property that we leased, it was they had acreage. This is kind of the same setup. They had acreage, but it was zoned. There was no permanent fixtures. You couldn't install any permanent fixtures on it because there was like power lines or something running over it. But that was okay for what we were doing because everything that we do is mobile. So it means that if it's a livestock thing, I mean, it's kind of hard when it comes to like chickens, if you're raising livestock, you can kind of get by with it because it's all considered mobile. It's not a permanent situation. And that's kind of our entire base. we want to be able to get up and move when we need to, or if there's an issue, I want to be able to take my things and go elsewhere. So looking at mobile, how mobile could you get, and how temporary can you get? Because because some hoop houses, or you can make, like, if you were gonna, I guess, raise something, if you were gonna do kind of like a greenhouse type of situation, our tractors are built, and there are some big tractors. I have some tractors we have some tractors that are probably big enough to put 2 cars in, and these things move. So these are considered mobile, and we don't have issues with zoning when, you know, people come out, they're just like, oh, okay, well, it moves. We don't care. The power company was just like, that's fine. Like, it's not an issue. And then when it comes to farm, or like raising something more permanent and it's not zoned, when it comes to business, I would say that's kind of, I'm just trying to think of how to label it. If you're not, I would talk to your neighbors, because you'll be surprised how many of your neighbors would not care. And a lot of the times, like, it's something like, and maybe you may have to go to them and say, hey, look, what about doing an urban community garden or something like that? Like, this is not something that's going to be an eyesore. And I mean, there are a number of resources out there. So whoever asked that question, I don't want to like tell you, you got to do a lot of research. And a lot of the times it starts with going and talk to your neighbors, because I live on a farm. And if you follow us, you probably know that we've had people that have had issues with us farming. And it's because we live across the street from $1 million horse farm. And they don't like the fact that we grow grass. So, but we're a grass-based farm. So, yeah, I would love to connect, or point you somewhere, or answer on just let me know.
Awesome. For both of you, someone wants to know, what are your current pain points, and what do you need to get to the next level to succeed, right? And does your idea scale? Are you trying to stay, small, family owned, or do you have grand ambitions of being the Amazon of the farming industry?
I absolutely plan to scale. My pain point, and like I said, I'll be vulnerable, is that I'm used to being able to do everything myself. And so I had to, really, she's probably even listening. My marketing director, she's like, look, you need to, and by marketing director, she keeps me on task with everything else. So she has lots of jobs, but just doing, accepting the help, and then doing what you're supposed to do with that help. That was my biggest pain point. I'm still learning. And in order for me to scale, and Derek talked about this, we were initially to customer first, but it would be to business, is other farmers, and is space for us to produce the value-added products that many of us already make, but we're doing it in our home, and we have to, shut down our house for this. Especially, you have kids. I got to wait till everybody's basically asleep and produce all night, and then I'm going to sleep as everybody's getting up. So, and then I'm marketing, I'm moving. Like I said, I know 20 other farmers who have products and are doing that themselves. So that would be my focus, is to strengthen small scale farming. And because honestly, it was just so hard for me to do every single thing, even with the collaborations I have. So this summer, this season, changed how I viewed being a farmer. And it made me really look at it as a business, because if I wanted to stay in it, I couldn't do it the way I had initially started. So that would be my pain point, is having production space. And remember, we live in Denver, and prices have risen, and we'll see what happens with everything going on in the world, but space is readily available. And I am, I'm imagining this. And while I want to say that people love farming and they love the idea of fresh food, but they don't love the idea of paying what the food really costs, or what the product really costs. So our margins are slim. And like I said, my focus went to, how can I support my fellow farmers while also supporting myself? So that would be it. Sorry, I got like a little moment there, y'all. Sorry, I'm good.
Good. Now I got a Whole Foods in my building. We call it Whole Paycheck. So I already know, gotta come out.
But that's not as good as like their food. Like I look at, I'm like, oh, like that's different. Like that's not the same as my flowers. Like you can bathe in the flowers that I provide because there's no pesticides. Like, I don't want my legal team to get called by Whole Foods, but I just would not bathe in those flowers. And so those are like similar is that we have children who had skin issues and I was making lotion and using botanicals for them and finding out that they had pesticides in it. That doesn't even make sense. Why am I doing this and working so hard to keep us safe? So, but that also costs money and time. And a lot of collaborations. Like both Derek and I have talked about the support and connections we have with, amazing organizations. So that means we're farming and nurturing those relationships. We're farming and distributing. Not to mention then, we both been married over 10 years. Like you got to put work on that if you want to keep that going. So like, I think more the pain point too is the education around what it takes really to be, a farmer and what that really costs. So sorry, go Derek. I'm sorry.
Perfect. Derek, how about you?
No, that's good stuff. You hit on some that the prices don't reflect. The true cost does not reflect, and that's something that needs to be fixed. But I was thinking about that question about the whole. How do you're in a zoning, and I know I'll be real quick. The zoning, like if you want to farm, if you want to raise or plant something, you don't have to be zoned to plant something in your yard. Like you can plant wherever you want to plant in your yard. You don't have to have a business. You don't have to be registered LLC or whatever to raise, crops or food or anything like that to sell at a farmer's market. You don't. You just have to have complete an application, and they don't care if you have most farms, believe it or not, most farms that sell at the farmers market don't operate under a LLC. I wouldn't recommend it, but they don't. And that's one of the issues or things that I've seen with other farmers, that needs to be, which is one of the things that we try to do with educating. I have a business background, and I knew right away that one, we need to be profitable, and two, like legally, we need to be covered. One, because I don't want to be, I don't want to lose anything that I have because of, whatever, someone getting sick or anything like that. And you need it in order to be recognized as an established business, and in order to be taken seriously by other businesses and other organizations. But I call them bottleneck. Our current pain is processing. As you know, processing facilities or meat packers across the country, across the nation, are closing down. That is a bottleneck for everybody. A lot of people think that we as smaller farms aren't experiencing that, but we are experiencing it very much. So think about it like this: if the large meat packers facilities are getting shut down, those farmers that produce meat, those contract farmers that produce meat for those big, meat providers, meat packers or whatever, those people still want to make money. And they don't get paid if those companies don't purchase their meat, if they don't make it to the actual slaughter or the processing facility. So what has happened for us is those larger farms are now coming to the smaller processors, the locals processors, and taking up all of the appointments. And that's currently what we're dealing with. This past year, I thought that I was smart by going and doing some long range planning. So I planned out for the entire year. These are my dates. I'm going to slaughter. These are the dates, all these dates. I knew, okay, we're good to go. Well, I did that for 2020. And I got a call from my processor, and I've dealt with 4 different processors in North Carolina. And my main processor called and was like, hey, I'm sorry to, inform you, but all of our appointments have been booked for 2021. And it's like, well, wait, this was back in July. And I'm like, how is that possible? Like, this is a small farmer. This is for smaller farmers. Like, this is how are y'all booked for the entire 2021? And of course, they're just like, yeah, with the influx of whatever, yeah, it's because of the larger meat packer. So because of poor decisions that we had, that the U.S. has made when it comes to putting all of our resources behind letting 3 producers produce all of the protein for our country, letting these 3, I call them the 3 guys or the 3 girls or the whatever you want to call them, these 3 individuals, they control the entire process. When it breaks, it only takes one thing for it to throw off, and because they control the entire process, their system doesn't work. So then they have to come and they consume up our space. So that's an issue for us, because we were planning on raising 200 hogs and 150 cattle for next year. And it's like, well, how, like, where am I supposed to go? Where am I supposed to take these things? And the fix for that is, my solution is, we're going to own the entire process. So we are in the process of establishing our own butchery as well as our own processor. We're talking with some other farmers in Alabama, and then I'm actually traveling to Michigan to meet with a farm to learn to become a craft butcher on my own, so that I can process in our own facility. That way that I'm not missing, because like this is affecting, it is affecting our business, and I have employees that I have to pay. And when I can't get my animals to the processor, then I don't have a product to take to market. I don't have a product to put on our e-commerce site that we're trying to expand on. So that's one of the things that we're doing. We're going to own the entire process. So if you are a farmer and you're looking at, getting into the space, like, you need to figure out first, if you're raising livestock, where are you going to get them processed? Like that, you need to know that right away, because there is not a whole lot of processors or not meat packers, but butchers I can tell you in North Carolina, there is 0 poultry processing facilities. Now I know how to process chicken. I was going to do that anyway, but now I know. And but beef or red meat and pork, there's only a handful of them. There's like 5 or 6 slaughtering facilities. So it's something to think about. And North Carolina is the home of the largest pork processing facility in the world. And we only have a handful of that's insane. Like, that to me is crazy. But that's one of the things that's one of the issues that we're dealing with, that we don't see a change with. So like I tell my customers, we're shifting to online, not because I don't want to be able to communicate or have that interaction with my customers, but in order for us to grow as a business, I can't be at multiple farmers market. I can't hire enough people. It's just not very efficient. So, which is the reason why we have put 60% of our focus into e-commerce. So we've invested in the liners, the boxes. We've made the connects with a local distribution company that's going to do all of our 24-hour deliveries, and then UPS and FedEx will take care of the 3 and 4 or the 3-day delivery, no more than 3-day delivery. So that's kind of where we are headed. And we weren't planning on being there year 2, but in order for me not to go and take a position at a consulting firm, I have to do this, because we're at the point where I have to make a decision between keeping my employees, or like we're not making enough anymore because of the processing issue. I can't get my animals to the actual finished product, my value added products, which bring us money in, it generates revenue for us, because it's been pretty much halted right now. Like, now we have to figure out, we're shifting. So the shift is, now we're going to do, like, we have to change the model, which is fine. That means cut out farmers markets, because it takes up so much time. And that way I can keep my employees doing other things on farm. That way I can keep my guys on staff. But that's some of the issues that we're dealing with, that we have a plan for, is just causing us to shift a lot sooner. So if it's not profitable, don't do it. Or if you are doing it, you need to transition, because right now it's not profitable for small farmers to be at a farmer's market, because they close so frequently. And with COVID, out of the 4 farmers markets that we had open, 1 of them stayed open. So we were counting on each one of those markets to produce $1,000 to $2,000 every single event, and only 1 of them remained open. So situations like the other farmers just continue to eat the price, and that's unacceptable. Like, there's no reason for it. Like, that's insane. You can be profitable. That means going to these organizations, talking with these business owners, because I'm working with a few chefs now that are one of the value added things that we had to shift to, which is not something we were planning on doing, was farm to table dinners. That's something that we did our first one last month, and that gives us an opportunity, 1, to generate an income, keep our guys on staff, get our product out there, and as well bring in our local chefs who had to close their doors. So while they were used to operating, in their own space, we were able to connect them back to the farm where they truly really want to be. The event was amazing, and 1, it was an opportunity for us to connect with our customers and to incorporate other local businesses in the area. So if you're a farm that is looking for something like that, like if you're trying to figure out that niche market, talk to some chefs that don't have restaurants, that are doing the whole pop in thing, and ask them to come out to your farm. Like that agritourism is on the up and up for us. So it's worth looking into.
Zafreen and Derek, this has been a phenomenal talk. We're a little bit in the overtime now, but I told Liz we got to keep rolling. Because for our viewers out there, this is the power of the Bunker Labs community. We got to get people, like-minded individuals, veterans and military spouses, in the same space, and leverage these lessons learned. So what I'm going to be doing on my end is I'm going to be talking to the Bunker team, see what else we can do to get this information that you all were talking about out there to the masses. Because Derek, I can see your energy. Zafreen, I can see your energy. People are excited, especially in this social distancing age where we're all isolated, to be able to come together. What I'm going to ask our listeners to do too, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the Transition Podcast on iTunes. Have a phenomenal interview with Zafreen that's dropping, I think, at the end of next month. But we've got other entrepreneurs on there that are sharing those lessons learned. Derek, we got to get you on some audio stuff too to get this information out. So we're innovating here at Bunker, and we're all about supporting the veteran entrepreneurs out there. So to both of you, I want to thank you for being here. Go ahead and give a quick 10-second plug for where people can find you all at.
All right, you can find us at hamdenfarms.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Hamden Farms. I'm a photographer at heart, so I like lots of pictures. And at LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Derek?
Hey, you can find us on Instagram at Grass Graze, both on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And you can also check us out at www.grassgrazed.com. We're very active in the community, so look us up.
And I'm going to hand it over to Liz to close us out.
Awesome. Thank you both, Zafreen, Derek. Thank you so much. In addition to the podcast episode for Zafreen, we also did a Launch and Learn episode actually pre-COVID with Derek, and it's amazing to hear where you were in November and now where you are now. It's like 1 year, just the difference it makes. Yeah. Incredible stuff. So I encourage you to check that out. You can find all of this content and more also on bunkeronline.org. If you have not signed up for a profile, do so today. We will make sure to stand up a group in Bunker Online for agriculture entrepreneurs. Alton is on here and wants to start a farm. So that will be a great resource. And we'll invite Derek and Zafreen to be in there as resources as well. But as always, thank you so much. We have another town hall with Barclays on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to be talking about consumer and market trends and how those affect your business. So they're going to come in right before that end of year to make sure that you're watching that and looking at those market trends so that you can look at, if you're starting a business, industries that are trending, things like that. Derek, Zafreen, thank you so much again. Mike, as always, thanks for bringing the energy as a facilitator. Everybody have a wonderful day.
Peace.